Hey kids, it's ARP. This is the ArpCast, somewhat live from the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains in eastern Tennessee. Today we talk about different things, weird people, and maybe unicorns and rainbows. We read poetry and short stories too. Most of all, we keep it real. This is the ArpCast, starting now. Welcome to the program. It's Movie Monday, November 13, 2017, ArpCast number 14. So we're going to do this thing, going to try to watch at least one movie every weekend, and we're going to talk about it here, whether you like it or not. I'm not asking for your permission. Hell, you may not even be listening, so I don't even know, but here we are. So tonight we consider Loving Vincent, a movie rich in color and concept, but a little long on distraction, and I shall explain. It's probably due to my own age and my own filters, if you will. We finish with a brief reading to kick off 2 weeks of turkey and stuffing. Don't want to forget. But first, a tribute. I just learned minutes ago that my mom's cousin, my uncle, P.C. Vora, passed away. Parasha Chandrakant Vora. So this is a man that came to the United States when I was 5-ish, stayed with us when we were in Atlanta, on Ward Street in Smyrna, and attended or taught at, I guess in those days, what was Atlanta University, and taught, he was a professor, he taught economics, so he was a professor, he was an eccentric, he was a Marxist, quite a combination. He was a lover of all that is Ahmedabad, which is my hometown. A man who held court at the Havmor restaurant. That's Havmor, in case you're wondering. Near Town Hall, in that same city of my birth, for years, if not decades. And in his own imperfect way, he gave a damn about his nieces and nephews, his brothers and sisters, his parents, his aunts and uncles, again, in his own sort of idiosyncratic, eccentric, imperfect way, his world and his fellow man. I'm sure he will be missed. I know I shall miss him. Hear, hear. Hear, hear. So, as they say, the show must go on. Loving Vincent, with few, if any, big-name stars, is the movie my daughter and I viewed this weekend. It's a good movie. We saw it here in K-Town at the Downtown West sort of art house theater. It doesn't look art housey, it's not in a downtown area and so forth. It's kind of just in its own world, clustered by strip malls and that sort of thing, but it's kind of a slow, sleepy theater. It's a nice place to see an art film. And Loving Vincent is definitely an art film. It's about the death of Vincent van Gogh, the famous Impressionist painter. And it takes place in France and is done kind of posthumously. Really just almost a retelling of his death from the perspective of some of the characters in his paintings. So a very unique concept, very colorful, very rich post-mortem of his life. In a long line, I'm sure, of many post-mortems, people saying it wasn't suicide, it was suicide, so forth and so on. So 3 things about this movie, and this is kind of how we're going to keep the style of these reviews, to keep them short, keep them confined, and the like. It is absolutely visually stunning. I cannot say enough about it. Visually stunning. Something like 66,000 frames painted by hand, and it seems in Vincent's hand. Amazing. I mean, just amazing. And you don't know that you're looking at an original, whether you're looking at the movie, unless you're very familiar. I'm not. My daughter, my beautiful, gorgeous daughter, very familiar with the different paintings themselves, but you couldn't tell that this was not something that Vincent had painted. For me, though, parts of it became distracting, kind of in a good way, but it was so stunning, so visually appealing at times, and you're trying to, do the math and the science and the art around this masterpiece of a film. And so I didn't listen to the story, and there were parts that failed me and so forth. That's me. But be forewarned. It is, in a sense, it's very distracting to take you away from the spoken word to the very graphical word or message in the film. Overall, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So we've talked about this a little bit in the past. So point number 2, it absolutely captures Van Gogh's intense raison d'etre, his reason for being, his svadharma, his cause, his action. His entire body lurches into his work as it's depicted in the movie. So you get this sense of a man who is just absolutely consumed day and night, moment by moment, from bar to bar, from town to town, and almost from life to life, if indeed there is such a thing, with this particular need to paint and to sketch and to capture in plain air what he's looking to paint. Amazing. So if you are looking for a study in the philosophy of work and the philosophy of desire to attain something through your work, this is a great movie for that. So again, reaching out to my young friend, Mr. Chase, Master Chase, Caden. Again, great movie for that sort of thing. If you can get your mind wrapped around the conceptual elements of the art and the story, this is the big takeaway. So here's the big reveal. And I call it the Alf. If any of you remember Alf, that fuzzy, furry creature TV show, I think it's the 80s or 90s maybe. ARP's likability factor. That's right. We brand everything here. And it makes me happy. I'm sure it like the movie I was talking about, it probably distracts you, but the Alf. So the likability factor, love, like, dislike, and loathe is what I initially came up with, because I said, there's no middle. You either really love it, you really loathe it, you like it or dislike it, right? And I thought, well, there's going to be those times when you're just kind of, indifferent. Meh, yeah, meh. And so love, like, meh, dislike, and loathe. So that's the 5-point scale. And I think this is a definite like. Because I was drawn away from some of the elements, and again, it's partly me, but the filmmakers, I think, were in a sense dueling with themselves. There was a story of this man's death and embedded in it his life, but then there was this really, really intense cinematography. So I give it a like. Go check it out wherever it is. I'm sure it won't be running for long. We probably had like 15 or 20 people in the theater Saturday afternoon, but if you don't get a chance to see it on the big screen, make sure you stream it, or I guess they still do those DVD things. I'm not sure. So there you go, Loving Vincent. Check it out. So as I promised at the top of the show, I would do a reading at the end, and I'm excited about this because it popped up in my Facebook feed. So this is actually an old writing of mine. So back in the day, and I've stopped doing it. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just stopped doing it. Maybe because I've got other things going on. I do have a day job, as I keep getting reminded of. I used to do this thing called the roll call. It was every morning, and every day had a theme. So Monday was always the same. Tuesday was 2 for Tuesday. Wednesday was hump day for the longest time. Thursday was just a plain roll call. And then Friday was a work of flash fiction. I'd write a little story, or perhaps even a poem. And the rule was, and the only rule was, is that the fiction or whatever the writing was had to have the phrase roll call or the words roll and call embedded somewhere in the work. That was the only rule. Could be 2 sentences, could be 20 pages. Typically was nowhere near 20 pages, usually closer to 2 sentences. So here goes from November 13, 2015, 2 days ago, or 2 years ago today, is a piece of flash fiction from my roll call. At the end of the table, Ramsay stood up. She lightly tapped her wine glass with her grandmother's silver spoon. She spoke with a smile. I'd like to make a toast to you, my friends. As the years roll by, formless and free, may our bonds become enshrined in words and laughter, and stronger at each turn. As the crystal chimed throughout the room in honor of friendship and longevity, Ben sat, all but motionless, nodding his head and feigning a smile. He replayed the toast on his mind's eye. There remained something awry, a beat missed in its composition, the meter trampled under its weight. 1 damn second. Ben rose to his feet. All eyes turned toward him. Some giggled. A few wiped their lips of mead and meat. I can't believe we continue to do this each and every year and forget to call forth a very important item. Travis interjected. And pray tell, what is that, Ben? Travis chuckled as he finished. Others briefly joined him. Ben faltered. He peered down at the table. He looked in his half-empty chalice. He wiped the sweat from his brow. He recalled his brightest moments from his erstwhile childhood. And then he spoke. Our common decency. That's it. 2 weeks of turkey and stuffing. This has been number 14. Gobble, gobble. Well, kids, you know who this is. It's ARP, damn it. You have been listening to the ArpCast, a sensational, fact-filled experience meant to change the world. I'm happy you stopped by. Our sponsors, those greedy, wily bastards, thank you too. Make sure to write. This has been the ArpCast. I'm out.